why you have no friends. It's not because you're antisocial. It's not because you can't communicate. It's not because you're not good with other humans. And it's not because you don't want connection with other people. It is not because you push people away. And this is not to say that you are above other people or worth more than other people. But you're the one who feels pushed away. You're the one who go into friendships and feeling like you always have to play a role, and you're tired of having to play a role. This is not because you're better than other people. You just require something different from relationships and friendships than most other people. The reason why so many people are good at maintaining friends or being friends with the same person for years and years and years is because they fit well together. It's because they stay the same for years and years and years. They are familiar in the same role. It feels safe. When you're evolving constantly, when you're someone who is reflecting and you're aware of your own behavior, you're aware of your own patterns, and you're willing to constantly change, this makes it difficult to stay friends with people. And it's a difficult thing because it's extremely lonely to be in that position. And it's also very easy to think that it's your fault, it's your doing, that you are somehow demanding too much in a friendship. It's not a demand, it's because you have gone into so many depths within yourself that to be in a relationship or friendship with someone, they have to be able to reach the same kind of depth. Otherwise, the relationship or friendship becomes superficial. For some people, this is simple enough. They don't need so much depth. They're fine with just hanging out and not really talking about what they're actually feeling and not going too deep into anything. But for you, it's a waste of your time. You'd rather be alone and by yourself and enjoy your own company. Doesn't mean that you're not longing for that connection, that friendship, but you also know that it's very either or. So you can't just go into a friendship and then leave yourself at home. You need to bring yourself into the relationship, into the friendship. You can't pretend, and you can't just play a role to keep the other person comfortable and safe. You want friendships where both people get to shine, where you uplift each other, support each other, where there's both mirroring of the difficult things and the more happy things in life, where there's space to be yourself. And while you are good at creating that space within yourself and also for other people, it's rare that you get to feel that same allowing from other people, because they don't have that ability to go deep within themselves or create that space for you to be yourself. But you're good at creating that space for other people, so they feel like they can be themselves. You don't feel threatened by them being authentic or them being vulnerable or them being emotional, but they feel threatened when you step into those areas. When you're vulnerable, when you're authentic, when you're emotional, they panic. They don't have that ability to keep that space for you to be yourself. So you're not triggered by their authenticity, but they're triggered by your authenticity. They're triggered by your vulnerability. They're triggered by your emotions. And it's an unfair and uneven dynamic to be in. And again, it's not because you're better than them or they're below you. It's because you have different ways of relating. You have different ways of loving. And this is what can make it hard to find friends and hard to stay friends with people, and also make it very lonely to be in this world. Because you can't shut yourself down. You can't shut away your authenticity. You can't shut away your depth. It's there. It's something that you're living with every day. It's something that you're familiar with. And sure, you can go out and, find a friend that you can just hang out with, and it's not that deep, and it's just like hanging out friendship, and you just talk about superficial things, and you don't really participate in it with your authentic self. You just put on a mask, play a role, and sure, you might be able to gain something from that, but what you gain is so little compared to how much you're giving up by having to play a role or put on a mask to make the other person comfortable. Becoming yourself, getting to know yourself, being aware of yourself, being authentic, it makes it really difficult to be friends with people, because you're as much yourself as you are able to be. The more yourself you become, the more of a unique person you become. And the more unique, the harder it is to relate to someone who mimics other people's behavior or mimics certain roles. Society and friend groups, they're built from these patterns that are very, very similar. People are finding it easy to match with other people because they're like puzzle pieces fitting together. There's this type of puzzle piece and this type of puzzle piece. And that's mostly how it is in society, that there are certain types of people, and then they go well together with other types of people that match that puzzle piece. If you're a puzzle piece that is looking completely different from the rest, it makes it really difficult to find someone to match with. And maybe it's not possible at all. Maybe it's because you're not supposed to fit into a puzzle with someone. You're not supposed to fit like a jigsaw with someone else, because you're not supposed to be codependent with someone else. You're not supposed to have to, be two halves, which are like two puzzle pieces coming together. They're two halves coming together to a whole. You're supposed to be individuals. You're supposed to be a full person yourself. Most people, they're not even able to be by themselves. They don't feel whole in themselves. They constantly feel like they're lacking something, and they need that from someone else to feel complete. You're someone who's actually very good at being by yourself and feeling whole in yourself. And I think that is also why it makes it difficult to fit into a puzzle with someone else, because you're not supposed to. You're whole in yourself. And I'm thinking about a poem, but it's something like, wanting to be two separate trees next to each other, standing next to each other, being equal, having your own root system, being your own person, being your own being, and being next to someone else, growing next to someone else. You crave that. You want to have that connection with other people, but be whole in yourself. You want to coexist with other people. You want to feel that feeling of belonging, of going about your day and doing things and knowing that there's someone else also. It's not because you're codependent with each other, but there's another person who has a whole life in themselves, but you have this togetherness. Just as, the leaves on the trees, there's individuals, they're separate, but at the same time they're constantly like brushing up against each other, and it's almost like one harmonious ocean that is moving together. Or, you know, a flock of birds that are flying, and they're all flying like in this synchronicity. They're all flying together as one whole, but they're individuals. They're still separate. You long for that wholeness with other people while still being whole in yourself. And it's something that's actually very rare. But it's only when you realize that you're a person that needs this, that you see it's only when you realize that you're a person like this that needs this sort of connection, that you realize it's actually an extremely rare thing. But I hope you remember never to shrink yourself, never to change yourself for the comfort of other people. It's better to be alone then.